What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Creative Director Studio. Remember, Creative Director Studio is the place to stay inspired, stay motivated to take your career to the next level. Today, we're going to be talking all about creative direction. One of the things I love about being a creative director is that opportunity that I get to spend with people to help make them get better. And so today, we're just going to dive into three big topics on what you can do in your sessions to be a better creative director.
Absolutely, Corey. So let's just jump straight into the first point. Point number one, understand what motivates the people you're directing. So, this is a really easy one if you start to think about it because it's actually a mindset shift. And you may have done this before, or maybe this is new and you're asking me, how do I do this? I'm going to cover both scenarios. So, whether you're managing people that are on staff with you, people that you've hired, a team maybe that you've assumed if you just recently switched roles, or even if you're managing other freelancers or other vendors, all this works. This works for all those people. And when things are moving very fast, which I'm sure a lot of your projects maybe are this way, sometimes it's hard to stop and think about each person you're working with, especially if you're working with a large set of vendors or a large team itself. But I want to implore you, this is really big. So one of the things that we all know when you're working with someone is to understand what skills they have. That's kind of a no-brainer. We naturally do that because we need to understand if they know how to use certain apps, certain platforms, if they've done these types of projects before. But that's not enough because just understanding their skills is really just a technical thing. I like to take it a step farther, Corey, and we've talked about this in projects we've worked on when we're motivating staff, and that's to really understand the person that you're directing on a human level as another creator, as another designer, whatever it is, and understanding what motivates them to actually be doing the work itself, understanding what brought them into the role, what are some things they're interested in learning about. When you start to ask questions like this, then you can create this working knowledge of the person that you're directing, and then when things get really fast paced, the heat is high on a project, you're going to be able to pull on from those things and think about, okay, this person really wants to learn more about branding, or this person wants to learn more about how to do color correction. Guess what? Almost every project has color correction. So now you can build that in and then ask questions, which we're going to get into in a later point, about what they're learning in the project. So don't miss an opportunity to really understand what motivates that person. One more tip here, I would encourage you that if you are inheriting a team of people, or you're coming in and they're already there and you're trying to get to know them, do a virtual coffee, do an in-person coffee, start asking questions about what got them there, their career, what excites them, what movies they watch, things like that, and then build your idea of what motivates them at that time. And then you could even go back to them and even tell them, it sounds like you're interested in this. Let's look for opportunities in that. So that's really a way, Corey, I think is really useful. And it
Oh,
just
yeah,
takes, yeah, it takes a mindset of being empathetic and really
it
trying
really
to
does.
listen and understand. Yeah. And that I think leads into our second point, Corey, right?
It leads perfect into our second point. But I add on to that. It's key to really understanding what motivates your team. And one of the things I do that I don't see many people do, but I have had some great creative directors who've done this for me, is they really asked me what I wanted to do with my ultimate career beyond where we are in this phase of our career journey. What do you want to do? And I sometimes ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because we can, as a creative director, our job is to make sure we're growing that person in the direction that they want to go, and then making sure we're providing them opportunities along the way. So our next point is really about looking at every opportunity as an opportunity, a teaching moment, a learning opportunity. And so each phase of the project, once you've really understood that person, you understand who you're working with, you know what areas they want to grow in, you can look at each moment of your interaction with them as a teaching moment that grooms them to get to that point. So a perfect example is when somebody's coming to me with a problem, and I really have them set it up for me. Walk me through what you're struggling with, and really have them set it up, and I'll outline the goals, because sometimes maybe you're not as close to the brief as you would be with other teammates that you may be working with, but you can look at that as an opportunity for them to be groomed into becoming a better presenter. And so that's point number two, is really all about each interaction that you have with that person. Look for it as an opportunity to groom them on the things that motivate them, the areas that they want to grow. And ultimately, it's going to make you a better creative director, but it's also going to make you a more inspiring creative director. That person is going to see the value that you're offering for their career and really admire what you're doing for them personally.
Definitely. And Corey, before we go into point number three, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get our notifications, because we're really talking about topics that we hear from you, our viewers, and our listeners to understand what motivates you. So definitely subscribe, let us know, and engage in the comments. DM us personally. All of our social handles are
Yes,
here. We really do want to build a community. So I want to just stop Corey and really ask people to do that. We're here to help you. We learn from talking to other people as well. So that's why we're doing this. So feel
absolutely.
free to subscribe and engage with us in the comments here or anywhere else you'd like to find us. But going into the third point, Corey, this kind of rounds it all out. And so point number three is listening more and talking less and asking really great questions. So this one is where it all kind of wraps up into a bow and really starts to help you develop your process as a creative director. Whether you've been a creative director forever or you're trying to get into the role, you can honestly change this at any point, and it's an ongoing style that you can really
Yeah,
groom to get better and better at this. But I want to, Corey, give the viewers two questions that we both have liked to ask people that really helps get the most out of the person you're directing and really inspiring your teams. And so the first question is asking a really obvious one, which is, does this excite you? You're doing a review, you're looking at what they've made, you're watching a video, whatever it is, you're looking at the content, and you ask them, how do you feel about it? Does it excite you? Corey, a lot of people laugh because I can be often
yeah.
very funny and dramatic about it. And I'll say, do you love it or hate it? How are you feeling? And it really gets this sort of person disarmed a bit to say, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. And then we can open up a dialogue, right? And say, well, why aren't you feeling it? What can we do to course correct? And it can really help the person creating that you're overseeing. It can help them get into the headspace of their emotions as well as the facts, right? And Tori, we've
Yeah.
talked about a lot of other videos. We'll drop a link to some of them here, but we talk about this design soul on this channel, and
Oh
that
yeah.
all designs or creations really need to have that soul or that thing that connects to people's emotions. What better way than to actually bring that up in the dialogue with the person you're directing to get them in tune with their emotions? Do you like it? Do you not? What's missing? So that's the first one, Corey, that I think works
Yeah.
really well. And then a follow up question to that could be where you infuse some of your direction here, because we don't want to suggest, especially if you're really seasoned at the job or you're really an expert in what they're working on, you may have better ideas than what they're doing, or you may be able to spot problems with the creation that need some fine tuning. So we're not suggesting that you ask questions and let the person you're directing come to all the conclusions.
Oh yeah.
It's more about like this hybrid approach, right? And so Corey, often what I have done is to look at things where I see a problem, but always bring it back to the goals of that particular project. So for example, if it's we want to get people to engage with this product, we want to get people to click on a button to further, get invested to give money, whatever that action is, bring it back to the person you're directing and say, how do you feel about this section? Would you
Yeah.
want to click on this button? Do you feel 100% excited to give your money to this organization? And if the answer is no, then you can then collaborate together with the person to help them
Absolutely.
come up with some solutions to make that part of that design better. We've actually created a really handy one-page PDF guide that has a few more questions that Corey we have asked in these types of sessions. So if you want to get that guide, all the information is in the video description. Corey, anything to add to this?
Oh yeah.
Because I know we do this a lot, and those questions we've asked a lot of people in our careers.
Oh yeah, and I love that idea of asking those questions. And remember, you don't want to solve the problem for them, and because
No,
if when you start getting into this problem solving with them or for them, what happens is you start to develop dependence where they rely on you as a crucial key to getting their job done or finishing any project. And honestly, it leads them to question their own abilities, and that's where you don't want to do that. And
no.
so you don't want to give them the answer, but like Joey said, asking framing questions that allow them to walk you through their thought process, there's more value in that. And it's funny you said that because I like you were probably the first person who's ever asked me, "Do you love it?" or "How does it make you feel?" I don't think I've had any creative director ever ask me that, and so I thought it was funny. But what it did for me is it made me think about the work differently. It made me think deeper about, well, okay, well, I never thought about that. Well, how does it make me feel? And so what you do when you ask those kinds of questions, they may seem silly, but what that does is it gives you a better understanding of their frame of mind, whether they're experiencing self-doubt, maybe they're lacking their, not confident in what they've put on the paper. You'll have a better understanding,
Right.
so that way you can come back with a more calibrated response. But yeah, you don't want to solve the problem for them. You want to make sure that you're asking those framing questions that allow them to walk through their thought process. And ultimately, they're going to spot those things, but more importantly, they're going to bring their own unique perspective. Really, you're
Yep.
grooming somebody to become their own creative director one day, or their own
Yep.
creative leader. And so you want to arm them with enough actionable tools to allow them to figure out those problems and solve the answer. So,
Yeah.
if you take these tips, these will make you a better creative director. You can do these things right now, today. And so, I encourage you in your one-on-ones, in your review sessions, to start to implement some of these tactics. But also share some new ones in the comments. We'd love to hear what from you all and other creative directors. What are you learning? Or the designers on the video listening. What are you getting in your sessions? Have you learned anything in your sessions that you think might be of value to us? Like Joey said, we're in those comments, so drop them in.
Yeah. Definitely. This is exciting, Corey. And so
Yeah.
I guess let us know. We'll look at the comments and see maybe we can do an additional video or anything else to touch on this. But these are things that we wanted to share with you because we've been asked by people, how do we give direction? Give us some tactical steps. So this is it. So we want to thank you
That's
so
it.
much for joining again. Like and subscribe, engage with us. We can't say that enough. We want you to make this a community and a conversation. And so, Corey, I guess we'll sign off and we'll see you all next
To
time.
the next video.